Fox and Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, let's talk about a fight that's possible for later this year, possibly early next year. And that's a Jermall Charlo, David Benavidez fight. It's too bad for Charlo. He can't get a big fight in the middleweight division, so he has no choice but to possibly move up to 168 and take on this challenge, since he can't get a big fight in the middleweight division. The Andre fight's not going to happen. The Murata fight's not going to happen. He should try to get Golovkin. The reports that Munguia Golovkin talks are kind of somewhat stalling. Still a possibility it could happen. But if that's true, Charlo should try his best to try to make that fight, because he has a much better chance of beating an aging Golovkin than he does beating a younger, fresher, bigger, stronger David Benavidez. It's a good fight. I mean, I'm on board for the fight. It'll be one of the better fights PBC has made. And it's a very dangerous fight for Jermall Charlo. It's not his division. He'll be fighting a younger guy, undefeated, with great combinations, power, speed, and a lot of natural ability, a lot of physical talent. And it's amazing that, David Benavidez, he's only had 6 amateur fights, and he was a fatso at one time. The guy was a little fat kid watching Manny Pacquiao train at the Wild Card Gym once upon a time, and he's developed into a really damn good prize fighter. He's been disappointing though at times, getting stripped of his title twice. He's just shown, lack of discipline. He's made some mistakes, the cocaine issues, not making weight in his last fights. But he's still a very, very good fighter with a lot of upside, a lot of potential. And he'll be considered the biggest threat to Canelo at around these divisions, from 68 to 75, or one of the biggest threats at least. And it's a fight that Charlo needs, to make a stamp in his career. Is he good enough to beat a David Benavidez, who will be considered the biggest victory on his resume? And it's an easy fight to make. It's really about timing when it comes to this fight. Will Charlo be comfortable taking this fight in his very first fight in the division, to fight a former champion, 2-time champion, who's never lost his belt in the ring? He's been looking very good in his fights. And it will be an opportunity for Charlo to finally make that that giant leap in that big risk in his career, because he hasn't really taken many risks in his career. It's just what it is. And Sergey Daryochenko is his biggest risk in a 12-year pro career. It's not really bragging. It's not really something to brag about. But this is the type of victory for Charlo that would get him on the pound-for-pound list. That would get him that recognition, the respect, and he'll definitely separate himself from his brother. I mean, to the point where people won't get him mixed. They won't get him mixed up anymore. They can actually separate them from one another. I can do that, but a lot of people in boxing can't. They confuse the two. That just shows you they haven't separated themselves from each other. But if Jermall Charlo moves up and defeats a David Benavidez, he will have done that, because he'll get that respect, the recognition, to the point where people have to remember his name. And he'll be on the pound-for-pound list if he does beat David Benavidez. But unfortunately, I don't see it happening for Charlo. I don't see him beating David Benavidez. It's his division. He's the younger, fresher fighter. Charlo brings a style that would benefit Benavidez. He'll be right in the pocket. Charlo can box, but he's hittable, and he's a guy that likes to be in the pocket. So it's a stylistically it's a great fight for Benavidez. A fight that he could shine in a fight where he can make a statement by knocking out a smaller fighter but undefeated fighter who has some hype behind him. So I'm on board for the fight, but I know it's not going to happen next. David Benavidez is scheduled to fight Ronald Ellis to get back into the win, well, not the win column, just to get some rust off. It's been a while since he fought. I can't even remember the last time he's fought. It's been a while since he's fought. Yeah, I remember he fought that dude. I forgot his name, and he lost his belt on the scales. But Ronald Ellis is a decent fight. For a Showtime card, and hopefully it'll be just a start to something bigger later this year or possibly early next year. It all depends on what happens with Canelo. If Plant is going to get that fight, if Charlo is going to move up in middleweight in his super middleweight in his very next fight. But I see Charlo sticking around at middleweight for at least one more fight. I expect him to fight that Mexican contender in May that just knocked out James Kirkland as a voluntary defense. And then I expect him to test the waters at 68 because he's not going to get any big fights at 160 pounds. It's unfortunate, but Heyman just is, for whatever reason, is unable to make those fights for him. Perhaps he's not willing to sacrifice him and send him over to a different network. Perhaps he feels there are better opportunities within the PBC, and he's possibly going to advise him to move up to super middleweight to fight David Benavidez. But to me, that's not the smartest move. It's not a fight I think it's a fight he has a chance to win, but it's a fight I don't think he will win. But he has a decision to make. Listen to what Heyman tells him to do, or look out for his best interests and demand he make him that Golovkin fight if the Jaime Munguia Golovkin fight does not materialize. I mean, that's the fight for Charlo, not a David Benavidez. The Golovkin is the fight for him, and he should be doing everything in his power to have his representation to get him that fight, no matter what it costs, no matter what it takes. If Charlo has to go on the zone, so be it. It's only for one fight. But he'll get a career high payday and a chance to get a big scalp and also a chance to get on the pound-for-pound list by beating an aging Golovkin. But I don't see no movement for it. I don't see no push, no talks, no mentions. So the agenda is going to be a move to super middleweight and a fight against David Benavidez in the near future, maybe possibly later this year. Good fight, but not a fight I feel Charlo will win. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.